Biography. He came in 1960 on a Guggenheim Foundation Fellowship, an extremely coveted fellowship, and now he's Professor Emeritus for Anatomical Sciences at NYU, and of course serves on the review boards for Sikh Review and Nishan. So today, Professor Sahib is going to be talking about HUKAM. And in true New York spirit, he calls it what it is and what it ain't. So I've known Professor Sahib since the past 20 years, since I first came to the country. So I'm personally very fond of him. I read his papers, I listen to what he's saying, and he has a very appealing way of talking, to connecting with youth, to connecting with people of all ages. So of course we welcome him today and his talk on HUKAM, what it is and what it ain't. So while this setting up, I'll share with you my favorite tuk about HUKAM, what HUKAM means. So there's actually a tuk in the Granth Sahib, HUKAM male ta har mile ta vicho hobe jaye. So hobe, which Dr. Kamaljeet Anand talked about, jado main chali jati hai, when you learn to forgive and give rather than get and forget. That is what we're talking about, the HUKAM, the prem, and how they all interlinked. So welcoming Professor Ajay Singh.
Okay. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. I have to say that was a very difficult time to follow. That was a wonderful presentation. And so I realize also that the hour is late, and you're all tired, including me. And so I'm not going to compete with that. I'm merely going to tell you that hopefully the end is near. That sounds almost biblical, but I don't mean in that sense, not that kind of end. The end is near for all of us. Now, in any systematic organized system, there is a beginning and an end. And we started this morning with the presentation of HUKAM by Indra Mohan Singh there. And you end again with HUKAM mine. I guess that's the mandate, that is the HUKAM for the day. And that's what we will do. So my mandate is to place the first bookend in the morning, and my end is to place the second bookend to close the system. Now, what it is and what it ain't. That's what I say. And I hope I push the right bar. HUKAM is a defining expression in Sikhism, but really pretty much in all religions. And I will recommend to you, if you wish, to look at the Encyclopedia of Sikhism, Volume 2, published by Punjabi University. It has a fairly illustrative and instructional essay on HUKAM by the much maligned MacLeod. Whatever your opinions of him, this essay is pretty good. Now, HUKAM, the word comes to us from Arabic for order or command, really. Command, directive, ukazi, any of these things. But the word order in English has two connotations. One is command or directive, and the second is a systematic organization, not a random collection of things. Like what we have in the socks drawer, or like my library at home in books. I have books, but so many that I can't find where is where. Which one is where? Not that random disorder. And in Sikhi, the word HUKAM embraces both concepts. In popular usage, when we use the word HUKAM, popular language, HUKAM implies micromanagement, and I need to remind my boss here on my left that I hope to finish in about 20 minutes. If I don't, that's my failing. And if you hit 19 and a half, you raise your hand. I'll knock on the table. So I know to wake up and finish. Hukam implies often micromanagement by the Creator, that nothing happens without divine, precise control over all creation. Smallest thought, smallest figment of my imagination, earth-shattering things, that there is a divine intercession somewhere, some control somewhere, and that's the way we generally look at it. I hope to disabuse you of that notion, because that leads you to some questions. Is the Creator really a micromanager of all that happens? And then if that's so, what's my responsibility? Is there anything that's my doing at all? If not, then why should I be held accountable? What happened? I didn't do it. The Creator did it through me, but that's his problem, not mine. You can't hand me for it. And then I would have to say that that really makes micromanaging Creator something like a free pass out of jail card. Because I'm not responsible, you can't punish me for things I have done, I've not thought about. And then of course we are a business-minded, people are business-minded. You know, there's always a transaction in mind. I do this for you, you will do that for me. Right? You give me this, I'll do that. That's the way life is. If that's the way life is, our relationship to the Creator becomes increasingly what I would call a bartering relationship, transactional relationship entirely. You know, the thing there is, can we deal? Can we negotiate? I guess Donald Trump would be proud of that model. Can we make a deal? Right? Now, how Singh defines or looks at Hukam. Look at the ideas of Hukam. They get you on page 1 very quickly. How is truth to be attained? How is the veil of falsehood to be torn asunder? Give Sachara Huya ke Kuda Tutta Pahal. And Guru Nanak's response is immediate and quick, by walking the way of Hukam. Hukam Rajai Charana Nanak Likhya Nar. And I will not depend or reflect too much on some of the ideas. I'll just mention them because in the morning went through these things in the morning. I'm not sure. And then of course the second party of Japji Sahib dwells on the attributes of Hukam, and so on. Now, some features of Hukam and creation you've got to consider that all existence is the visible expression of Hukam. Nothing exists outside of Hukam. Absolutely nothing exists outside of that system. The laws of cause and effect are called nature's laws, the laws of nature, are an aspect of Hukam. The Creator in His fullness is beyond human comprehension. And Hukam then cannot be fully elaborated. Thus Hukam gathers into a single principle all of the Creator's activity, a single principle. But then that really still we are stuck on the issue of free will. Do we have any or don't we? Forget that most religions say that you don't. Let's look at it. If we don't have any choice in the matter of what's happening, and why would Guru Granth say so early, like on page 4, as you sow, so shall you reap? Ape bij ape hi khaye. Or live well and joyfully by your own honest efforts. Uddam Krinya Jivantu. Page 522. Why should it tell you to resolve your differences and issues that have co-workers or colleagues or relatives or other good people? But will tell you to apan hatti apna ape hi kaishwari. That implies a certain degree of ability that you have to influence and change the direction of your life. So the advice then becomes, rule not the results, nor lose the self and pride in self. Live another day through defeat and triumph. The goal is to make honest choices, accept cheerfully what life offers, and engage with the present to experience HUKAM. Why with the present? What do we mean by the present? What it means to totally live in the present. And when you look at Punjabi and related Indic languages, the same word defines tomorrow in the future, unborn yet, or yesterday, which is long dead and buried, that's the past. The same word kal, always for both the day to come and the day gone by. But we spend our lives in an imaginary past or pining for an unknown, rosier future. The present is lost between these two enduring passions. Our existence thus defined between utopia and dystopia. So how to redirect the mind? I'm not recommending what follows here. In Thailand, Buddhist monks meditate on human cadavers, corpses, dead bodies, to come to terms with the transitory nature of our small but not pointless existence in life. I don't know if that helps very much, but I would recommend it. I'm an anatomist. I must have passionately looked at many thousands of cadavers. And if you ask my wife, it hasn't done much for my temperament. Now, the paradigm shift that is required for this process comes only when we accept what will be. Que sera sera, as they say. Whatever happens, think for a moment. Whatever happens is never in the realm of the impossible. If it is impossible, it will never happen. It's not the realm of possibility. Probability is the question. But whatever happens, therefore, is not ungodly, not unearthly, it's perfectly kosher. Chinta taki kijiye jo anhoni hoye. But let's redefine the past, present, and future in some other terms. If you look at it, we are creatures of one single breath only. Hum aadmi hain ek dami, say the Guru Granth, page 660, or one breath. Dam. Only the breath that we are in defines the present. And that alone is life. The breath that preceded it is already in the past. And the breath yet to come is in the future, never certain, never guaranteed. And HUKAM, or divine will that pervades Sikh teaching, means exactly that. Live fully, productively in the moment. Because the moment is all the present breath is. Now, our existence remains limited to that one breath in the present moment of time. And then look at the term admi. Dam is breath, or the invitation for it to come. So what you're asking is welcoming the breath, that one breath that defines you. The primal number one. Admi speaks of a creature of one breath, the singular reality of a single breath. Now that makes me wonder about something that I do not know. I'm not a linguist, but when I look at the word Adam and the Punjabi Admi, they seem to me like related terms that come to us from our shared linguistic and philosophical antecedents and heritage. I don't know, perhaps you will inform me better, or we'll argue it out. So briefly, HUKAM then asks us to stop worrying and start living. The word lemon there is to remind me to tell you that what it says is that when life gives you a lemon, make lemonade. And that is living life fully. And that is what Churdi Kalam would be. Life gives you a lemon, make lemonade. So what you want is a realignment of our lives to the realm of the moment, to the reality of the moment, that stands between life and death, developing a relationship of deep trust and the unknown, the unseen. Now, walking in HUKAM then frees us of guilt, misplaced hubris and pride. Every moment then is a new dawn, the start of a new day. Effectively, it clears the slate for the future. The next moment then is to write anew your story. In short, the directive of HUKAM becomes living life fully, honestly, productively, live in the present, to live fully in the moment, hence the promise of a constant return to life, a new birth. However, people would be people, and through be very human existence, because they live lives of quiet desperation. Accept the Creator's HUKAM, we say, and that's easier said than done. Is it a confession of helplessness? Is it a willing acceptance of what is? Is it swallowing a bitter pill when no alternative exists? And then we could will. God's will it was, yes. My lottery ticket didn't pan out. Underlying thought tortured us. My neighbor won the lottery, I didn't. Now God knows, as I do, that my neighbor is a no good jerk. Right? And God knows, as I do, that I'm a good person. I regularly attend Gurdwaras and say my requisite prayers, feed the homeless, so on and so forth. Ad infinitum, ad nauseam. And that takes us to an easy way out. If we do this, we are bargaining people. We look for an easy way out, we get it. Lean on an imaginative string of past lives, cyclical births and so on and on and on for 8.4 million species. That will, what will do is a mysterious way of transferring the responsibility to unknown others. Unknown, who knows, the past and the future. And Hindu mythology certainly helps, as does literal interpretation, such references to the Guru Granth. Now, I'm not going to spend 8.4 million seconds on the 8.4 million species today, but we'll get through this, and perhaps next year I'll appear to you with an essay on birth and rebirth, cyclical or otherwise. So let's go to a rational perspective of dealing with this. The Creator created the systems in which life exists and evolves. That's a given that we could accept. And it's a version of what people now call a version of intelligent design. You can couple with evolution or not, I would, next year. Now, considerable free will to rewrite our own narrative that exists. That little red marked brain is here to remind you that this brain, little or much, that has been given to us, is not there to fill the space between the ears. It must have a use, it must have a purpose, for a sense of self, to develop that, to write our own narrative, where we want to go, where we will. We are shaped by a complex interaction of our genes and environment, nature and nurture. We live and die as per the laws that govern us on earth. Now, despite the pretenders who pretend to read the past and foresee the future, life remains a mystery. A box fuller than Pandora's that delivers pain, suffering, even death, also heavenly delights. Uninvited come the many defeats, as do life's triumphs, like manna from heaven, best not seen as entitlements or earned, best not seen as that. HUKAM then becomes a state of mind. It determines how we engage with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Shakespeare wrote about. And there's an ancient prayer, likely Greek, which I'm sure many of you have heard. Though God grant me the courage to change the things that I can, the serenity to accept what I cannot change, the wisdom to know the difference, and in that, obviously, the third clause, wisdom to know the difference, is the most crucial. That determines the life. Then of course Gurbani tells you someone challa mariya karta kare so hoye. Again, challa mariya means that you have the option to do things, influence your life. But whatever happens is best seen as karta kare so hoye, because that can put a closure to it. Making peace with the inevitable. And that's critical. So which battles to fight, or which battles to walk away or retreat with grace? This is the most difficult to see as a governing commandment of life, major determinant of our sanity, survival. It is the wisdom of HUKAM, trajectory of our lives. And in this rational perspective requires that we live life with equanimity, accept the unexpected turn that life offers, pain and pleasure, success and defeat. See them as two robes in the wardrobe that each of us wears interchangeably. Sukh dukh dhoya kapade pehre aaye manukh, page 149 that Indra talked about this morning. Now, much of life is beyond our design, except in good grace and the essential reality. Whatever pleases the Creator is the good deed. And again, that kind of attitude helps to move forward, give you closure. As the popular adage goes that I repeated earlier, ye sera sera. So cultivate positive life without addressing its downturns, realistically, hopefully, with a positive stance on life. I want to leave you my timeline. I won't make it worse, don't worry. I want to leave you with a postscript of two citations from the Guru Granth. On page 922, it pointedly challenges us with is Sarira Merya, is Jag mein aaye ke kya tud karam kamaya. Again, if it says Jag mein aaye ke kya tud karam kamaya, this is a responsibility you have. Don't shovel it off onto the door of the Creator, whatever you think of it. Don't do that. The onus to rewrite our narrative is ours. And then page 1102, it asks us, Pehla mard kabool kar jeevan ki chhad aas, except for the reality of death, abandon all hope of endless life. And shenanigans that we make in our bargaining business that we do with the Creator, we think we do. How then to leave the world? I would say iota better than what you inherited when you came here, and iota better will be plenty. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sahib.
Comments, whatever.
Yes, questions? Yeah.
How would you say a person experiences HUKAM? How do you receive HUKAM and
How do you receive HUKAM? How do you recognize HUKAM?
Well, the easy answer would be when you have no alternatives, the inevitable, accept the inevitable in peace. And that is HUKAM. Whatever will be, whatever is done, and that's HUKAM closed. How do you receive it? Perhaps varies with you and your mind and your mood. And where are you? How do you? The difficult answer to that would be to ask you, how do you think you should receive it? Should lights flash? There's a message from God coming. Close down your windows or open your windows, or what are we going to do? What do you think? The time is for conversation. Conversation is a two-way street.
I mean, if you ask me that, I think the challenge is that people think HUKAM is law and order, as you said.
And so when you said, that sorry, 1 second. Said that you are in HUKAM and you live HUKAM, but the problem is that knowing it is often challenging when you think you're supposed to get something done. So you think, am I supposed to keep trying? Was I supposed to accept that?
No, but you see, that's why you got to think. That's why you got to use that brain between your ears to see when the road is closed. There are no choices, no options that you've got. You may as well accept que sera, whatever will be, and move on. If you move on, then it becomes a new birth, a new deed, a new moment. But if you do not move on psychologically or otherwise, it's got you by your tail. What are you going to do?
Yeah, my request is, when I'm in here 40 years, the earlier when come, when I was a child, we were thinking from Gandhi is the message of the day. Is that true?
The method of what?
Message of the day. Hukmnama is the message of the day. You lead your life accordingly. And we don't know. I just don't know. That's why for a long time. And
That's a matter of faith.
Huh.
It's a matter of faith.
No, faith is there.
No, please. When I read the Guru Granth, for instance,
Right.
and I open there every morning,
Right.
I say, yes, this is for me to think about today. It will have implications. If you think about it, many things can have implications. So this frames my mind of the day. But that doesn't mean that it ends in 24 hours and I got to have a new one.
So that doesn't calculate our thoughts to say
Of course, but-
what direction we go?
Well, as I said, when you say that I have to, that this is going to shape me and my behavior. Now, how much you let it shape you and your behavior, that's up to you. That's up to you. Nobody has you by the ear saying, now you do this or else. I'm going to throw you in hell. It's not happening.
Yeah, things have changed for many years. Our teacher, I would say Granthi, and some of them, their knowledge is very different. Sometimes they answer differently. So what the leading to new generation, the children, is they question us, say, why this,
Sure. But look at it this way. Here we are,
Right,
30 odd people.
right.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the 30 odd people have 50 odd opinions.
Right.
At least, if not 100. Any question that we take up. Now, why should we expect unanimity of thought in the people? We didn't get the same genes, we didn't get the same brains, we don't have the same opportunity, we don't live the same lives that shape us. We are shaped by the DNA and the environment. Not DNA alone, but the environment as well. They become individuals. Individuals will have individual opinions. And you need the opinions to say, yes, I tried this and this and this and this, whatever I could think of, it just didn't work. It's best to close this chapter and move on.
I thank you for your
And
knowledge.
when you do that, you have, in a sense, experienced new birth. If you let it happen, if it keeps hanging on with you, you haven't.
Thank you very much.
You buy that?
Yes, thank you.
You better watch, I might sell you another bill of goods. Don't give me that chance.
I'll ask a question.
Because I don't have answers. I have questions, I don't have answers. Answers will come out of our collectivity. Will they be true always? Probably not. Will they get modified in 20 years? Yes, they could get modified in 2 minutes too. That's life.
So my question is a little variation of Habir's question, So I think what she's asking is, how do you know hukam? So the question is, sometimes you have ethical dilemmas, classical, you push a fat man on the road to save 2 people, to kill one or not. So is there a way you can find out what is ethical to get into your mind to get the answer from the hukam?
In other words, what's the right thing to do?
Yes.
What's the right thing to do? If the situation facing me such that it would be preferable to die fighting, lose my life saving it because there is no easy solution to it, or is it something that I should run away from or withdraw from? That depends on our sense of self, our sense of purpose, our sense of what we are. And people will vary. And they do. We read our history and things, and in the advice of Gurvani, moral principles and ethical conduct issues, to frame the narrative that we would live by. Hopefully. Do we always? Likely not. Hopefully, we try the best we can.
I see what you're saying, but that's a sort of a little easier answer when you decide between your own life versus dying for somebody. So the ethical dilemmas sometimes are difficult, and one of the classical one they have is, let's say you're on a boat and you have 10 people and you can throw one fat guy off and save the others, or not do that. Did get an answer from Guru Granth Sahib for that.
You think Guru Granth is going to tell you to throw the fat man up? Is that what you're looking for? Weigh everyone and one the one who's fattest throw him out? Let the whales get him? Is that the answer you're looking for? Or hoping
Repeat
for?
yourself, please.
Can you say that again?
Ultimately, the onus is yours. The onus is yours. The guiding message you can have. The guiding message tells you to do the right thing. What is the right thing? Where is your moral compass?
That is the answer I was looking for actually, because what I understand is
That's what life is about, developing a moral
when the
compass.
mind goes away, then what speaks through you is God, Nam, which is your conscience.
Yeah, but you develop a moral compass through the religious practice, through the reading, through the thinking, and you become the guy you become. As noble as life makes you. Who will be willing to die for family, friends, or good cause. And life experience also makes people who run away like a chicken without a head. Yes? And if you're looking for a definite answer, who am I can't do that. I can't do that, and I assure you, if you start thinking about it, it won't be that easy for you either, or anyone. When I say I or you, I don't mean not the personal. Yes, sir.
Is going with the flow follows the hukam?
Right? No, going with the flow is not what I have to do. Going with the flow is convenient. Perhaps an unexamined life. Right? When it says इस जग में आके क्या तुम कर्म कमाया, it tells you the examined life, not the unexamined life. I think it was Socrates who said an unexamined life is not worth living. Going with the flow is the social ebb and flow. We go without thinking, without taking a stand, without saying, this is where I draw a line.
But at the same time, when we start examining it, we also become the persons who decides. It's not following the hukam. And I mean, this seems to be a contradiction always in this.
The contradiction is in our mind. See, hukam is not going to say to you in clear words, stand there and fight to your death, the enemies, whatever. It doesn't say that. It tells you to think, it tells you to pray, it tells you to look within. Pray means really to look in the depths of what you are. What do I do now? And there's no guarantee that what you do will be right. What is it that you're willing to live and die for?
I guess,
Yes.
just a second, I will comment. I normally do is when I'm in dilemma, I just pray, let me do the right thing.
You do the right thing. But how are you going to define the right thing?
But since I'm praying to God, I let Him decide the right thing.
That
Make
is-
me do the right thing.
That's right. And that is, of course, conversing within the self, the inner self, to do it. I got a neurosurgeon raising his hand. But psychiatrist would be better in this position.
I think I have more questions now than at the start of your talk, but
Of course, if you don't, then there is something wrong with you.
I think the question I'm hearing
And
from
you're young. Yeah.
I I think the question I'm hearing from a lot of audience members is, how do you know what's the right
How do you
thing?
know?
But the way I understood HUKAM, at least, was that HUKAM doesn't absolve you of the responsibility to, struggle between different choices and come up with one that you want to go forward. You still have to, like Guru Gobind Singh says, Khalsa, so jo nit kare jang. So you have to have that battlefield of ideas in your mind, and you struggle.
It's the battle of the mind that he's talking about.
Right.
Courage is the jung, not the jung outside,
Right.
but within itself.
Yeah, but so that's the jung to make the decision. I think that's the dilemma, right? That you are trying to make the decision.
And it's about having done it. Once having done it already, long time, whatever time spent, people or otherwise, and then when you conclude, you will say, I have done the best. And this is my conclusion, this is what I'm going to do. Whatever the cost may be. That's your decision.
And then HUKAM essentially for you is then that concept of Sahaj is with acceptance of whatever happens because of
Process
that.
which is driven by sense of self. Process that is driven by the parts that are causes that are greater than the self. And process that is honestly as you can make it, heartfully, driven by that. So that you can be content with whatever it is. Yes? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Want to hear me again? So,
Sorry?
this is I think we're all going off of each other. So, if I go one step back, my mom always said, do your best and leave the rest. That was her simple way for us to understand HUKAM. She used to say, do your best and leave the rest. Because that's the only way we can seem to grasp it as kids.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so there's so many ways that we, so many things that we could say, like, okay, as Prisoner Uncle said, well, how do you know? And then I think, well, maybe that's where our virtues and our teachings help us decide that. Is it about the me or is it about the we? And then, are we silent enough internally to hear HUKAM?
That is
And
why,
that's the part I guess I
that
would
is what
ask
the
you.
purpose of that prayer, whatever it is.
Yes.
It is to commune with yourself.
It is to commune with yourself
Yeah.
because the Creator is not out there somewhere
Yes.
on the third floor of this building.
You don't have a word for it,
No,
that's good.
to commune with that self and there feel a certain calmness
Yes.
in facing the decision that you're facing. Now your choices are really still framed by your culture, your environment, and your DNA, and your training, and all these. The world affects your decision as well. But you got to live with the decision.
But I agree with you, and that's where I think, Raman is talking about the Sahaj aspect, but I think one step further is that I don't believe, in my understanding, I should rephrase that, is that you are without those conditions and limitations when you are inside the self. And then
When you're inside what?
the self, when you are in that space of the vacuum or that darkness or whatever, the inside I'm saying, where you ultimately find the light, there are no limitations of the five senses, which are your taste and sound, and it is just pure experience, and that's supposed to be separated from us today, right? So our DNA shouldn't take effect then. That should be when we really truly, like, you hear that, you hear the sounds of our, of the world, of earth, universe, whatever that may be, singing, conscience. And that's, I guess, again, I'm not an expert like you, but I just am sharing what my understanding might be on this, is that when we reflect internally and we do Nam Simran, we are detached from the five senses, which are limited.
Because whatever, with the practice of Nam Simran, whatever you do, the prayers or reading the Granth, whatever you do, brings your mind to a calmer, quieter stage.
Exactly.
And then you can make the best decision that you can make.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. How do you calm it down, bring it to that stage? That is what religion teaches you.
Yep.
That is what it teaches you. So if you're connected to that, you will do that. If you think that the only way to calm the mind is to drink a bottle or two of rum, it's not going to help, not in my view. But who am I going to argue? Yeah.
I think in this discussion we are mixing up two things. One is the hukam and the other is the factors which make us decide under certain circumstances according to our DNA, according to this, according to our habits and so on. We should clearly separate the two things. Hukam is something which is eternal, which does not depend upon the person, which is independent of the religion, independent of the nationality. It is God made rules which Gurbani tells us.
I agree with you.
It is applicable to all human beings. It is decision making is something different. Let's not mix it.
Except one other thing. One thing that you can't do without. When I read the line, I interpret it. Right? When you read the line, same line, you interpret it too. And there's no guarantee that what you interpret is going to be my interpretation fully. There's no guarantee. There's no fixed meaning as such. The meaning comes from within ourselves, our interpretation, how it strikes me. If you do certain things, that brings out the feeling of love within you, as my good predecessor was talking about.
No.
Somebody else reads it.
When we interpret something, we always look at things.
Somebody else reads the same lines and he is burned out on love. It's a different interpretation, a different life.
No, whenever we interpret, we look at things with our colored mind, with colored glasses. What she is saying is, whenever the whole being is calm and when communing with
the condition is, when the whole being is calm, your reality is different, and what you read will be a different reality than somebody who is not quite at that stage of calmness. But ultimately you have to do it. Whatever your stage of calmness is, you got to look at it and say, what on earth am I going to do now?
You know, one question comes to my mind. Do we know Hukamnama exists, there? What's the purpose of the Hukamnama? How we can explain to our children?
The purpose of the Hukamnama is to realize that that Gurbani speaks to my internal being, to my inner self. Okay?
Yeah,
Therefore, in that respect, that's why I call it a Hukamnama. Now, I call it that, I have to feel that, and then my interpretation is different. And if I'm not in that stage of life, these are just words that told me to do something I don't understand or I don't like. Let me take that Hukamnama again. Let me find another page. As people say to the Granthi, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਹੁਕਮਨਾਮਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣੀ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਆਹ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੈਡਨੈਸ ਵਾਲਾ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਪੜ੍ਹੋ ਤੇ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜੀ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲੈਂਦੇ right? What I'm saying is people have to live it. If it becomes a hukamnama to me, then that's what it is. If they use just a direction here, and it probably is not connected to what my problem is. Let me try again. I'll open it at random again and see maybe I'll find something that's more connected to my problem. And that's not to be. I want to say that's not kosher. Jewish friends may not like it.
So we'll take one last question in the back, please.
It wasn't such much of a question as my understanding based on what Sister Dev was saying. It's simply that
I've got a little problem here. Hold on.
It's not so much a question or a deeper understanding of what we've been talking. It's simply when you are in
when you are, there is not an I. There is not a space that you can speak from I. It's only when there is an I that there is an understanding, this is a hukam, this is not a hukam, this is this and this is that. In a state of being, that there is only a state of being. You can't say anything and it just flows. The hukam is something you don't specify it as hukam, you just can smile. As we say in Punjabi, gunge di mithai. What can you say about it? You just, it's like a dumb person. You put sugar in the mouth and you ask them, what did you taste? What is this person going to say? Just smile. And that's what happens in the state of am. The moment you put the I, then yes, 5 senses come in, interpretations come in, vantage point comes in. Where am I perceiving this from? If I'm happy, the hukam becomes happy. The same hukam becomes angry. The same hukam becomes sad.
That's
so it's
why,
vantage point.
you know, I think it came out a few times,
Yeah.
that you have to calm this out.
There's no calming, it just is.
And well,
It's beyond the mind. There is not a
it
mind
has
that
to be in the stage where it is not so stormy.
There's not a mind there. That's what has been experienced, but I really don't know anything. I guess
Now, how to do it, that's a different thing.
the Guru's grace gets you there. You can't do anything about it.
When it happens,
It just
you
happens.
can say that this is the way the Guru has taken me. That's fine. When it doesn't happen, then you can worry about it.
No, what's the reality? That's the question.
Pardon?
How we believe, what's the reality? We are still confused. The message is not clear yet. We want to know why the Hukmnama exists, and how we can deal with, how we can explain to our children.
So I
Because they
think
question.
I think we are going in circles right now. I think this is a very deep and profound topic. I don't think we can get to an answer right now. What do you think, Professor Sahib? I think we should probably take this offline, because I think we've already reached beyond our time now. So I would love to give a jaikara to Professor Sahib. Jo bole so nihal.
I can assure you that if this discussion ends on a satisfactory note, I would be absolutely disappointed. Can't happen. The discussion conversation I should say, discussion has started. The conversation should never cease. That's the point I'm making. If it happens, you will know it. If it doesn't happen, you will know.
Thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.